so-called January 6th commission are now demanding that the big wireless carriers like AT&T turn over the personal communications of members of Congress as well as the Trump family. We'll quote CNN on this. Quote, in its request to Verizon, for example, a select committee asked that the cell site location information, call data records, and content, cloud or storage content, and subscriber information be preserved. Oh. So in other words, when you disobey Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democratic leadership, they seize your text messages. Does that sound like a free country to you? No. And we can't allow it to happen if we want to live in a free country. Some senior Republicans appear to realize this. Kevin McCarthy is the top Republican in the House. He's the House Minority Leader. He just provided this show with this statement, quote, Adam Schiff, Benny Thompson, and Nancy Pelosi's attempts to strong-arm private companies to turn over individuals' private data would put every American with a phone or computer in the crosshairs of a surveillance state run by Democrat politicians. True. If these companies comply, he continues, with the Democrat order to turn over private information, they are in violation of federal law and subject to losing their ability to operate in the United States. If they pursue this path, a Republican majority will not forget and will be ready to hold them fully accountable under the law, end quote. That sounds like a threat, and we fervently hope it is. Marjorie Taylor Greene represents Georgia in the U.S. Congress. She's one of the members whose private communications are being demanded by Nancy Pelosi, and she joins us tonight. Congresswoman, thanks so much for coming on. So you just got there.
Tucker.
Did you know that if you voted in a way that Nancy Pelosi didn't like, she would strong-arm a company into turning over your private text messages? Was that part of the deal as you understood it?
Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I think it's outrageous. After what America has been through, especially this past week, and what the Joe Biden administration has done, leaving Americans behind in Afghanistan, service dogs, fully arming the Taliban, now they want to drag Americans and American taxpayers through another witch hunt, just like we saw with Russian collusion conspiracy lies and what they did to President Trump, spending over $30 million on what turned out to be nothing more than absolute Democrat political warfare. This is what they're trying to do to all of us. But this is leading us into waters that we've never been in America. You see, America was never meant to be a communist country, but these are the tactics that Democrats are wanting to use.
Well, yeah. I mean, demanding your text messages if they don't like your politics. Now, we've been tough on Kevin McCarthy for being weak. That statement is not weak. That statement is a flat-out promise, threat, whatever you want to call it. If you do this, there are consequences. I don't see any other way out of it other than to make that clear. Do you?
Well, we have to make it that clear because you see, if members of Congress can have our personal cell phone data exposed, and so that our Democrat colleagues and unfortunately some of our so-called Republican colleagues can rifle through just to hurt us politically in the next election, then we are going into a dangerous place in this country. It's no longer Republicans versus Democrats. It's more like
Right.
Americans versus communists. And you see, it's not just us that will be in extreme danger. It's the American people, because we never want to have a federal government where they are willing to break federal law, violate our privacy, search and seizure, and demand from private companies to hand over this data. And these cell phone companies, these telecommunications companies, they better not play with these Democrats, because Republicans are coming back into the majority in 2022, and we will take this very serious.
Well, you should shut them down. I mean, you should take those companies down. Would it be okay if Nancy Pelosi forced a private security company to raid your house at gunpoint at 3 in the morning because she doesn't like your politics? Like, where's this going? This is the single craziest thing I've heard in memory out of Washington.
Well, it's outrageous, and it should let everyone know these Democrats are not the Democrats that maybe your mommy and daddy voted for. These
Right.
Democrats have fully changed, and they do not care about your privacy. They will do anything to achieve their political means, and that means violating federal law. And we will. These telecommunications companies, if they go along with this, they will be shut down, and that's a promise.
Good. I hope they're afraid of you. They should be. They should be. They're very short-sighted. They think Democrats are going to rule forever, but they should be afraid to wade into partisan politics like this. You know, they're public utilities.
Absolutely.
Back off. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I appreciate your coming on tonight. Thank you so much.